Greetings, my friends. Greetings, somatic warriors. How are you doing today? I hope that you are well and feeling a little more embodied. Maybe you've been exploring some practices, just kind of engaging with December. Some folks like to maybe do a little fast or a cleanse before the holidays, knowing that there's going to be a lot of parties. I mean, maybe some folks were even doing this in November in preparation for the feasting that happens towards the end of November and well into December, with celebrations and gatherings and the different spiritual and religious practices and holidays that happen during this time of year. It's very active. So if you're fasting or cleansing for whatever reason, that brings a whole different awareness of the body. Oh, it's got chilly right here, of the body. And so, just being with that and maybe keeping a little journal, a little daily mindfulness practice, either in the morning, what you notice about your body when you first wake up, or what you are finding, discovering, noticing throughout the day as you wind down towards the end of the day, towards the end of your activities, and coming into a slower rhythm, a slower pace. What are you noticing about your body? What has the arc been like throughout the day? And what are you sensing in this moment right now? And just see what you notice over the course of even just a week or 3 days, or 10 days or 30 days. You get to, this is the great gift of agency, is that we get to decide how we want to utilize some of the practices. So I want to read this little thing that I came across while I was sorting through some of the topics that I've talked about, the research that I'm going to be sharing, the list of folks that I'm going to be inviting. I'm setting up some interviews today. We're going to play with Zoom and practice and see how this goes, because I haven't done it at my end. As I said, Somatic Wisdom and the Ethereal Soul, we are just getting off the ground here with our YouTube channel. And so we're learning as we go. We're in the moment. We're leaning into the tech and playing with some things. And it's fun and challenging. And my computer decided that we needed to do an update to run Zoom. And I thought, well, that's great. And so we have about 5 hours remaining of the update for the Mac operating system. So that's okay. That's what the phone is for. So I just want to share this. This came from a magazine. More than likely it came from a massage magazine, Massage and Bodywork. I was a member of the ABMP for a long time, Association for Massage and Bodywork Practitioners, AB, something like that. But as a retired body worker, I don't subscribe to that anymore. I don't subscribe to the magazine, so I don't have the magazine coming in. But I have quite a stack of magazines that I've read articles that have been compelling, helpful, useful for me, useful as a practitioner, useful for clients, and I've shared that. I've shared that with clients, and I do believe that ABMP had an electronic version for a while, and I could send that to clients. And so that was really helpful for them to be able to, especially, typically I would send it, if there was an article that connected to maybe something that was happening with a client, then I would send that article or that magazine edition to that client specifically, so that we could have more of a conversation around maybe what they were experiencing in their body, what they were noticing, recommendations I had compared to recommendations that the doctor was making, and could we build a bridge with those two things? And so that was always very useful to have that electronic edition. But I kept all my paper copies because I'm an artist, and that's what I do, and I love collage. It's a great way to sometimes be mindless. I talk quite often about being mindful and being aware and paying attention and noticing and things like that. And sometimes I just need to shut that off. I think many people do. I think there's a lot of value in both ends of the perspective, the spectrum, if you will, being mindful, being attentive, being aware. But sometimes that can get a little exhaustive when we have to pay attention to too much. If there's a lot happening in our daily lives and in our work and with our families and in the world at large. And sometimes, we just need to step back. And so my stepping back quite often looks like collage, tearing paper, just putting paper down, images down randomly. I may have a show on that I've watched numerous times, or a movie that I've seen 1,000 times, just playing in the background as just a way to play with both auditory and visual input, so that I'm not completely heavily focused into one. It's what Pema Chodron calls Shenpa, and the hook. I'm not completely hooked by the visual, so I'm not analyzing, thinking about it too hard. And then the auditory input, if I'm completely focused on that, hooked on that, in the Shenpa of the auditory input, then I'm not really engaged at all with what I'm doing visually or artistically. So sometimes it's nice to have both happening at the same time, because it does allow me to flow back and forth between the two. And I really like the magic of that. Sometimes the auditory influences the visual. I'll notice a word, or I'll even see an image in what I'm watching, and then that will influence what goes into the creative piece that I'm working with. And so it's really just a magical balance of the two, so that I'm not completely engaged with either in a way that becomes distracting, and sometimes quite often can be triggering or overwhelming. So my art, I think I've talked about this in previous videos. If I haven't, I've talked about it in my book quite a bit. The book, for those of you who may be just tuning in, is titled Chasing Shade, Living with Developmental Trauma. You can find this on Balboa Press. They are the publisher. You can find it in other areas too. Balboa Press did bear the burden of the cost of publishing the book. So I do hope that you will go there to find it. It is available in a print copy and an electronic version. And my art is mostly personal and very therapeutic. I don't do commission work. I don't do pieces that are generic. Most of the work that I do, there's no methodology that I'm following. It's very deeply personal, the creative work that I do. So sometimes it's process, sometimes it's just goofing around with collage materials. Sometimes it's really just testing stuff to see, do I remember how we did this in a class and can I repeat it? That often doesn't work, but the process is very nourishing and very relaxing and very satisfying most of the time. So I'm quite often happy with that. And so, I have all these massage magazines that I tear stuff out of and use for collage. I use their images and the words and things like that. But as I was tearing through some of these things over the summer and clearing out some space and just taking what I wanted to utilize instead of carrying a whole magazine around. There were maybe a handful of images or pages of words that I wanted to keep. And this one is called The Body Positive. The Body Positive, and this is according to psychiatrist Gabriela Farkas. She's a doctor and PhD. And it says, here's a look at what's happening in your body when you start to feel happy. Your pupils get wider, your facial muscles relax, your heart rate decreases, your breathing slows and deepens. Endorphins and serotonin, which are our feel-good chemicals, they get released in moments of happiness. And our digestion improves. I like that. I would even add, sometimes the posture changes. You know, the body may have a collapse if we're sad or depressed, and when we're happy, we may perk up a little bit. You know, our chest and our upper body may open, our lungs, you know, it says our breathing slows and deepens, and I would say that that's true. You know, we can take a deeper breath and relax into that, and you know, maybe there's a little swagger that comes into our posture when we're happy. You know, we may have a little pep in the step as we approach something. And so sometimes engaging with happiness, especially now, in this time, there's a lot of strife, there's a lot of political conflict, there is religious conflict, there's war, and it's the holidays. These are really challenging times. The holidays can be very difficult for a lot of people. And I was talking with a little girl the other day, and she was very much in this image of how she wanted things to look for the holidays. She had this mental image in her mind, so sweet, of how it looked and how she wanted that to be captured in order to fulfill this sense of happiness internally. And, you know, I remember times myself where I have had that. I've wanted, you know, a certain manifestation of what I had in my mind and in my heart, and that if I captured it just right, that would be achieved. That sense of happiness, nourishment, that sense of satisfaction would be, you know, there's the aha moment. You know, we've got it. Everything is right as it needs to be. And that's a dragon, you know, chasing that. It really is an illusion. It can often be hard to achieve. And what I have noticed, what I have experienced is that even attempting to get there, the effort to control that quite often undermines what can be the beauty of being present, of being in the moment, of allowing things to unfold as they are, as they can be. And I have learned that over the years, you know, the hard way. Approaching my 60th year, being in my 59th year, however they want to put that. I'll be 60 in August of next year. It's, you know, there have been some life lessons around cultivating, you know, these images and moments with family or friends or around a holiday or a particular event, a particular celebration. And, I would often feel let down, and that was in my body, so I was often like in a collapse or in a state of defeat, or, I'd get this frown and I'd be marching around and, all of that was in my body. All of those emotions, disappointment, frustration, those moments and emotions and feelings lived in my body. And so when I read this kind of little message, it's just a short little shout out to the body positive and what we can achieve, what we can notice when we attempt to engage with happiness internally, right? These are the things that are happening internally versus I'm going to create this external moment of happiness and notice all the frustration along the way and how it really didn't quite satisfy because there were all these obstacles to getting there, or it didn't quite happen the way I wanted, or there was someone that I wanted to be there that wasn't there, or any number of things that can happen when we're trying to orchestrate something. If you look at an orchestra, there are a lot of people involved in that, but they're all on the same page, right? They have a little stand in front of them, or now I've seen orchestras now with these electronic devices, an iPad where all of the music is automatically moving in sheets on this display, on this screen. But they're all on the same page. They know exactly what's happening. They are auditorily tuned into one another. They're visually arranged in, all the horns are here, strings, percussion back here. It's all coordinated in advance, and they're all on the same page. They know exactly what's happening, and they're all working together. But if there's just one person trying to orchestrate everything and nobody really knows what is happening or what the intention is, that can fall apart very quickly, right? And then again, we come back into what are we noticing in the body? And sometimes that doesn't work. So body positive, stick with that, maybe practice that, write that in your journal as you are going through this season. And we'll talk again soon. Take care.